Recapping day one of training camp. Got quite a bit of ground to cover today, so we're going to get started. I'm Tim. Let's talk Saints. So, a lot of things actually kind of fall into the discussion of what happened yesterday, um, but mostly it was somewhat what we saw and heard about in practice, but quite a bit of it was what was talked about after practice, so to speak. And that's kind of the main takeaway I had from yesterday was accountability expectations that were kind of being brought up. Dennis Allen, um, Cam Jordan, Derek Carr, especially, even Alvin a little bit, which his talk with the media centered more on his contract, but still there were some little nuggets in there I thought were very important towards and Derek Carr, I think, spoke the best on what the focus is because there was a lot of questions about the team having a chip on their shoulder, what they're going to do about it. And Cam Jordan talked about that specifically. But with Derek Carr, what I found very interesting, what he was talking about, and I don't know if you've seen it yet, but I'd go ahead and check New Orleans Saints .com. They have the videos of all this up. But he was talking specifically, the part that I really focused in on was how Kubiak holds he and the rest of the offense accountable. Um, because he was talking about, look, this stuff has been presented to us already. We've been working on it. Um, it's presented in the meetings, before we get on the field of what they expect from us, what they want to do. And then they want to see it from moving from there onto the field and doing it the correct way, the way they want you to do it. And when you don't, they're going to let you know about it. Because he mentioned specifically about um, one of his completions to Shaheed during yesterday's practice, and it was a completion. So, your average person like me would be going, "Oh, woo, completion, good job." But it was on the wrong um in the wrong spot. You know, he didn't go into great detail, but he was specifically, well, threw it here, but it should have been there. And Kubiak in front of everybody there that was working, and Carr mentioned specifically about how he does it, but he called Carr out on it, going, "That's not quite right. You know, you did this. We want you to do this." And he said he did it without yelling and screaming or any. I'm going to put words in his mouth the way he described it, any disrespectful way. But at the same time, he got his point across. I think Carr specifically said that he got his point across. You know, not only me, but everybody else involved right there got the message. We're going to do it right. And when you don't do it right, we're going to let you know. And you're going to understand that we're letting you know and you need to do it better. Accountability and expectation right there, because holding the players accountable to what the coaching staff expects. Very happy to hear. I wish I could be there to see it. It'd feel even better, but at least it's being acknowledged and talked about. And we're taking corrective actions. They talked about this in the mini camp, in the OTAs. And day one, I'm happy to hear it carried over into training camp and want to keep hearing this over and over till the accountability and expectations meet each other, where the process, whatever you want to call it, the daily tasks or whatever it is, but they're doing it right because of accountability. They're meeting expectations. The coaches are having to do less corrections. Players are having to do less thinking. And we're playing fast, and this is both sides of the ball. We're playing fast. We're doing our jobs, and it's going to help us win football games. And Alvin Kamara, full practice. I dropped a short yesterday, apologizing to Alvin. I'm going to do it again now because I was 1,000, 10, 1,000,000% wrong on the expectation I had yesterday was, and I mentioned it on the video, so it's out there for the world to see that how wrong I was, that it was going to be some type of hold-in situation because you see that an awful lot in the NFL in recent years when players are in this position. In fact, I can't swear to it, but there was a couple players who were involved in similar situations that I was reading, and I think they were all receivers like Chase and Jefferson and those guys who were all wanting the same thing, a new deal or an extended deal or whatever. Threatening, I don't know if they actually did it to hold in. They're going to show up, not take the fine, but eh, you know, we're not really going to go out there and work. Alvin went out there and worked, and every media coach, Derek Carr, uh, was one for sure because I watched all of his video, but I know there were other players. Uh, they were all on board going, "Yay!" Not only did he practice, but he practiced like Alvin practices. They talked about look, just as hard as he's always done, or working just as hard as he always has. He's there. It's not in any way affecting the contract situation. Is no way affecting his preparation, his mental capacity. Wrong phrase. His It's not affecting him mentally where he's not paying attention to what he's doing. He's still F's focused. Correct way of saying it, as he ever is. That he knows so much. He's always been talked about how high his football IQ is, all the way back since he was a rookie and gobbled up Sean Payton's playbook and was basically our starter. And Adrian Peterson shipped out by week 3, which not many rookies could do. So you can put him anywhere and everywhere, and when he's focused and lasered in, and like he almost always is, he can do good things. He can do great things. So this was all being brought up, and then he gets in front of the media, and um, Alvin's always been honest. When you put a microphone in front of him and start asking questions, that as far as I can remember, he's going to tell you what he's thinking. Uh, doesn't no necessarily filter, and I don't mean that in the wrong way, but I mean no, not, what's on his mind, what he wants to say, he's going to tell that microphone. And yesterday was no different. And he talked about it's not personal, it's business. Talked about how when he first showed up, guys like Mark Ingram and Cam Jordan were telling him, look, there's going to be that stuff that happens. Don't take it personal. It's business. He is not letting it affect him. More importantly, he's specifically said, I'm not going to let it affect my teammates, which is true. If it would have been a hold-in situation, it's he's hurting everybody in the organization. But I think the most important thing, and some of the players address this directly, is he sent a strong message back to the organization because he said it before. He said it again yesterday. I want to be here. I don't want to go anywhere else. I want to retire a Saint, basically. I want the security to be able to do that. Now, he kind of dodged around with if it was just security or more money or whatever, but so did Mickey the day before. And honestly, if they have that conversation and that's where the hang up is, I respect the fact that neither one of them want to hash it out in the media and let the media do their job for them. So kudos to both of them for that. But he sent the message clearly. I want to be here because we know what the worst case scenario that can happen in training camp. I will not say the word, but he's out there going, I'm not worried about that because I am a football player. This is what I do. These are my teammates. To go back to the reference to chip on the shoulder, Cam, everybody seems to be having that. And he's no different, but it's not directed towards the front office in a contract dispute like you see a lot of players do around the NFL. That chip's directed on, we want to go win. I'm I hope, I've said this before, and I'll keep saying again, that Alvin and the club can get together and solve this issue because I really want to see what he can do in this offense. I think very, very good things. And And the fact that he's in camp and he's practicing while this is going on sets it up that a better chance that this could all work. And we'll talk a little bit about that a little later when I bring up the cool video that I saw yesterday on Twitter from Ross Jackson. But for right now, everything that Alvin did, because we've got the video of him working yesterday on the field, and then everything he said afterwards kind of lines up kind of to the new leadership, take accountability, expectation philosophy that seems to actually be taking hold in this team. Very happy to see it. Hope Alvin keeps going, and I hope he and the club get this worked out very, very soon. And a couple of points to clear up. Not a whole lot to say here, but it's something I think is worth a mention. Um, Chase Young had a limited practice yesterday, and I think this is hugely important because um, if you think all the way back to March and the signing and when this all broke, and I'm still pissed at Ian Rappaport for making it sound like the Saints had no clue that he had a neck issue that needed a procedure when they in fact did. Um, and kind of after all that settled, and we started getting the team was coming out saying, no, we knew about it. He's going to have the procedure, should be ready to go around training camp, might be ready for training camp, might take a little time after that, but they were expecting to have him ready for the season. So in the back of my head, the whole time we were talking all off season about the defensive line and Chase Young and everything else, I'm thinking in the back of my head, I got to see him on the field the first week of camp. I wasn't expecting this to be day one, where they might try to ease him into it a little bit and 100% sure, and then all right, he's going to practice. After a couple of days, okay, we're going to practice him on a limited basis and ease him into a full practice. He starts off limited. He did individual drills. I saw some videos of that, so he was getting some work in. This, wasn't like a walkthrough. It was drills. He was working. They kept him out of the team stuff, which I'm perfectly fine with right now. Going, okay, this is all positive signs because we um, need him healthy and in camp, ready to go for week one, and seeing if we can get that elite play that we know he's capable of when he's healthy and in shape, and all the other stuff that a elite edge player needs to produce, because we need our edges to produce. So um, very happy to hear about the limited and then to see some of the videos of what he was doing out there. Like I said, it wasn't a walkthrough. He was getting some work in. Trevor Penning versus Udah. Look, I don't know if that's a legit camp battle, but in my mind, I think it should be. It is. And right now, day two practice starting in a couple hours, it's the most important camp battle. There's going to be some other big ones. We got plenty of time to work that out. The offensive line issues, the earlier you can settle these spots, and so you can start figuring out the rest of the spots. You got one in Cook. I'd like to figure out the tackles, and I think you need to start right now. What do we have in Penny? Can he hold on? Because he was running with the ones. Can he hold on with the ones, or is Uday going to push him? Or, and this is what I want to wait and see, are you going to start seeing where they're the next day, like today, Uday may run with the ones and Penning may be with the twos? I don't know, because I do know Dennis Allen yesterday they were specifically asking him about Trevor Penning, and he was, look, I think it's the confidence. We got to get his confidence up, make him realize he belongs here, that he can do this. They asked him a little later about technique and stuff, and he was, my God, Dennis Allen being honest in the press conference, just it boggles my mind. But he was honestly saying, yeah, of course, there's some techniques, and there's, kind of rattled off of a couple of, he's got to learn to do better. There's no doubt. So even acknowledging what they didn't acknowledge the first 2 years, that yes, there were some developmental stuff that they should have done that obviously they didn't do, but now they are. Hopefully, you can get it all together, Because if you figure out whether it's going to be pinning or it's going to have to be Uday or however that works out, then you can start moving on down the other side of the line or the rest of the spots on the line. So give me a thumbs up if you think this is actually a camp battle and the most important one as of today before we start looking and talking about others. So I picked one and I didn't really pick it. I just heard people talking about that. Oh, pinning was the one, Uday's with the twos and going. That may mean something, may mean nothing. We need to keep an eye on it. The last thing, let's just run through. There was a couple of injuries. Let's go with the Justin Herron. He left with a knee issue. The last I heard, considered not to be serious. Checked around this morning, didn't really see anything, but probably gonna have to wait till after practice today. That there may be more of an update on it. The other one was Kendre Miller, hamstring issue, early, left practice. This makes the Alvin situation even more critical because if Alvin wasn't going to be here, Miller was the guy to take over. And even with Alvin here, look, let's be honest, I don't think you can pile up 350 touches on Alvin this year. Um, there's going to have to be some limit there, I do believe. And Miller was the likely candidate, best choice to be the guy. Um, like we've talked about in previous videos about Frisco, McCaffrey, majority of the touches out the tailback spot. Elijah Mitchell, good solid guy, came in to spell him when he needed to. And I think Miller could have at least handled that role, but he's got to be healthy. As DA said, he's got to figure out a way to stay on the field. Um, I saw last night watching some other uh, Saints videos and stuff, people talking. It's a couple of them are like, well, hey, what is Dennis Allen wanting to do? Uh, I don't take this as Dennis Allen's calling Kendre Miller out so much as kind of sending him a message. We got whatever's going on, and also probably sending a message to his training staff. Also, whatever's going on, it has to stop. These nagging injuries has to stop. Look, the best ability is availability because I don't care how great of a player you are. If you can't get on the field and play, you're not helping anybody. So I kind of like the message sent that Dennis Allen was sending. I don't think he was necessarily blaming anybody, but I think the message needs to be sent. It's like, look, we're on a razor thin edge here at running back as it is. If it's something the player's not doing right that's leading to this, or something the training staff's not doing right, or whoever, we need to figure it out because he's got to be, as Dennis said, he's got to figure out a way to stay on the field. We have to figure out a way to keep him on the field. We got to see what he has. He's got to be exposed to this offense. No two ways about it. So hopefully that won't be serious. We'll get him back soon, and that'll be the last time we have to talk about Kendre Miller and a soft tissue lower leg injury. So finally, the last thing I had on the graphic, the last topic, kind of cool, and I want to geek out a little bit right here. So, but it's basically Ross Jackson, a video I saw that he posted on X yesterday afternoon with the running backs doing a drill that I'm answered the question of how are the running backs going to find the space. How do you drill them on that? How do you get it instinctive? Because as we've been talking all along, this offense, the kind of rules and concepts that you're trying to put in it is to make a lot of stuff instinctive. So no matter what the defense does, you're just reacting without having to think and playing fast. It's really, and that's all 11 guys on offense doing that. So I was always, well, these concepts, how do you get that to happen? What kind of drills do you run? There are some videos out there on some of them, but when I saw this, I was like, "Oh, that's how the running backs are going to do it." And if you're familiar with some of the stuff I've done on the wide zone scheme, you're probably going to recognize what they're doing right away. But if you don't, it's okay. We'll talk about it. Um, I know this video is a little tough to see. That's as big as I can make it. So it's basically three red squares in the ground with some white lines leading up to it. Two coaches standing behind it. As the running back approaches, they're jumping into two of the squares, forcing him to find the square that is in space. Nobody's in there. And if you're familiar with my videos and know what I'm I saw right away when they were doing that, this is the I love this graphic because it explains it the best of what the running back has to do. He's got his landmark, and I'll have a clip in a second that kind of shows what I'm talking about here, and that's those kind of white lines um, for him to approach the point where it's kind of he's got to figure out is the space where it's supposed to be, the end of the landmark, or is there somebody there? Do I have to cut? Do I have to bounce it outside? Do I have to bend it back to the middle? But you can't think about it. You just have to do it. So how do you get them? As soon as I saw that, I was like, ah, that's what they're doing. That is really cool to me anyway. So I said, I got to chop this up a little bit, put it on tomorrow's vid. And of course, if there's nothing there, then you just got to bang it through there and get the best you can because the running backs have to gain positive yards and at least 4 positive yards. That's their two golden rule, A and B, because you got to keep this offense ahead of the chains. I'm gonna let this play out because you get a little better view of those white lines that we were talking about that basically dictate the landmark right there, and that's Alvin. So that's the kind of the runway, I guess maybe you could call it. That's your lane. Here's your steps. This is where you need to be. By that time, you'll know where's the space. One cut, get into it, get upfield, or if not, put your shoulder down and get what you can get. Because that's basically what this whole thing boils down to. So hope you enjoyed that. I geeked out over it. And when I see more stuff like this that I can geek out over about the cool stuff they do to implement this offense on the team, I'm gonna do it. So there you go. That's kind of what we've got. Uh talk about from yesterday. We'll have more stuff to talk about today, I'm sure. As soon as they should be starting practice by the time you see this, probably soon after or right about the time this gets uploaded. Um so far, my expectations, they're at least exceeding them slightly by the fact that Alvin practiced. Chase Young got a limited practice, and we have a lot of, for lack of a better phrase, kind of sounds like pissed off players and coaches there, and not in a bad way. Just about we've had enough of what went on, like us fans have the last 3 years or so. No, we're going to do something about it. So real quick, because I forgot to mention this while the video was running, just want to give I mentioned Ross by Jackson by name, his X account, but also YouTube channel Harrison Tuttle and New Orleans Saints provided the rest of the video that I did there. So thank y'all for that, and thank y'all for watching. We'll keep informed as best we can. The best way you can do that is to make sure you subscribe, you hit the notification. Anything that I didn't talk about that you thought we should, drop it in the comments. We can have a conversation there. Love to chat with you guys. So whenever it can happen, it's awesome. So till next time, I'm Tim. Peace out. Who dat?